Just coming into our newsroom moments ago, a judge sentencing the convicted ringleader in the kidnapping plot against Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer. Adam Fox was facing up to life behind bars. The judge sentenced him to 16 years in federal prison for conspiring to abduct and kill Whitmer and for planning to blow up bridges as part of his escape plan. Fox and his fellow conspirator, Barry Croft, were convicted in August for leading the abduction plot just before the 2020 presidential election. Croft's sentencing is set for tomorrow. Joining me now, MSNBC legal analyst Danny Cevallos. Thanks, Danny. I know we've just gotten this in, but walk us through this decision, 16 years for Adam Fox. What did the judge have to consider here?
16 years is a really good outcome for Adam Fox because his sentencing guidelines, and these are a complex formula that takes into account all of these factors of the crime, where it starts out by calculating the base offense level and then the person's criminal history. It spits out a number, but then you have all of these aggravating factors. And Adam Fox had so many of them that the recommended sentence guideline range was life. It was the highest that you could get in federal court. But since about 2004, I think the year was, the Supreme Court rendered these sentencing guidelines advisory only. So the judge has to calculate them, but the judge is not bound by them. So really anything under a life sentence for Adam Fox was a win. A sentence like this is a huge win. It may not feel that way for the defendant. Of course, it never does. And especially in federal court, where you're really going to do most of your time. You're going to get about a 15% reduction for each year for good time. But there is no parole system in the federal prisons. So you're going to have to do most of your time, that actual 16 years. It's not like he's going to get out in 3 because of overcrowding. When you're in federal prison, you're mostly there for the duration.
Help us put it into kind of a big picture context, Danny. This has been called the largest domestic terrorism case in a generation. How important is the argument that sentencing needs to send a message against what we all know is a growing threat of domestic extremism?
Well, that's what the government argued in their sentencing memorandum. Maybe they made the point that there is almost every possible aggravating factor is here. 5 or more people. You have the very rarely used terrorism enhancement. You have a ringleader enhancement. You have so many different things that drag this case up to a case of the highest level of severity. And one of the things also to point out is that whether it's terrorism or bank robbery, an incomplete conspiracy, in other words, a conspiracy that fails, still has to be punished in the American system, because obviously we don't want to give people a break just because they're bad at planning or unsuccessful, or the government, law enforcement, stops the crime before it happens. So we absolutely punish conspiracies and attempts, even if they haven't completed the object of the conspiracy. But, I mean, the terrorism enhancement, along with all the other enhancements, made Adam Fox a really good candidate, or any defendant, even if they were a first-time offender. This has happened before in terrorism cases. Somebody with 0 criminal history gets a life sentence. So you could really say that Fox here dodged a bullet if he's only going to spend any number of years in prison.